Welcome back again for another Pioneer video. In my last one, I played 5-color Nibdelite, and I said that the other one I was thinking about is this Rakdos deck. And since I recorded that, Luis Salvato has been crushing the Mythic Championship. The format is historic, but this deck is very similar in historic to what is available in Pioneer. There are very few cards that I have that he doesn't. So it's timely. I had a lot of fun watching Luis play yesterday. At at the time of this recording, it's Sunday morning. The losers bracket of the top 8 and then the grand finals still need to happen. But Luis, this deck looked awesome. On the surface, this deck might appear aggressive, but it's actually just a grindy control deck. With Thoughtseize Kroxa Kolaghan's command, you can empty their hand with Rakdos Arcanist, Claim to Fame, Young Pyromancer, Rick's Mighty Reveler, and Village Rites. You refill your own hand, and basically you just 2-for-1 them or better enough times when they have nothing, and then you get over the finish line with whatever's left, which is usually Kroxa. I'm also super excited to try a Lurrus deck. I haven't played Lurrus since the companion rule changed, and this is a great deck to do it in. So what we're worried about out of a deck like this is graveyard hate. Basically, Leyline of the Void and Grafdigger's Cage are very difficult to beat. Grafdigger's Cage we have Kolaghan's command for, but Leyline of the Void is just like, oops, GG, I guess. You just have to attack with your Young Pyromancer, I guess. But let's hope to avoid Leyline of the Void, avoid the Void, and get some sweet games in. Because otherwise, this does look like a lot of fun. So let's go play some games, see how it goes. Alright, so we're on the play for round 1. I am revealing my companion, which should give away my deck immediately. I'm going to keep this hand. It doesn't have Thoughtseize, but it does have basically everything else I would want. Maybe not. Maybe I don't know. So I'm learning this deck right now with the rest of you. I have 0 matches other than watching Luis play it on stream yesterday. I'm not going to reveal any information. Hopefully I don't need to perfectly fatal push on curve here, but Young Pyromancer, I would prefer to wait until turn 3 to do 2 things. Okay. Drawing a backup Young Pyromancer and also them being Simic makes me want to just jam this. A lot of the times I like waiting until I can at least get a card out of it right away. But this way, I can play a second one and push for multiple spells. Stitcher is probably just better anyway. Alright, so we milled nothing that's good. I can't get back Thoughtseize with Kolaghan's command, obviously. Oh no, I got censored. I guess if I had sequenced that differently, I could have played around Censor. That was not a card on my radar, I'm not gonna lie. Okay, so this is a Rug-Aro deck of some variety. Ooh, they did not put a land into play off that Uro. That's probably bad for this ramp-looking deck. So I could Kolaghan's command, get back Young Pyromancer and make them discard a card. I could cycle Canyon Slow. Slow? I'm going to say slow, though I'm not sure if that's right. I guess I can just attack first. I'm definitely doing that either way. Making them discard gets them closer to Uro, but I'm not sure if I'm worried about that. Maybe I just get Lurrus. Because Lurrus also gets Young Pyromancer back next turn. And they have 5 cards in hand, 6 now, and they were mana screwed. Say Reclamation. Yep. All right. So this is a matchup where we're going to want lots of duresses in against. All right, so they could make a Shark to block, but I have Kolaghan's Command or Fatal Push for that. I think I just pass here. I can cycle the land or K-Command at instant speed. I just really don't need to be jamming my Lurrus into counter magic. We are getting out-muscled here, though. This is not a matchup where I would have liked to keep a hand with no Thoughtseize. So the super twisted thing about Team Iraq is that it's like, oh good, they're running low on cards in hand and they missed their land drop. But now they can expansion for a zillion, for 7. They deal 7, draw 7, and then they just have a million cards. And making them discard a card barely matters. So this is definitely a matchup where you want maximum Thoughtseizes and Duresses. Early and often. And they even get to hold up counter magic while they do it. Exploding my young Peasy. Alright, so I'm going to deal 2 to them because I don't think making them discard a card at this point is going to be super important because they're about to draw 5 of them. So I'm probably going to get this Mystical disputed, but at least I get some value out of it on the way out. Oh, nope, they just didn't care. Okay, that also makes sense. It's a reasonable thing to not care about. All right, I'll get this into play now. In case I decide to Fatal Push something, I want to make sure I get a token in combat. Like if they were to make a 1/1 Shark here. I don't think they will, but I want to be ready. I could Dreadbore my own Stitcher Supplier, try to fuel up the graveyard, and it replaces the 1/1 body because of Young Pyromancer anyway. Uro. So they get to put Uro into play, and then play Uro from the graveyard, and then untap all their lands with Wilderness Wreck. It's a good start getting goldfished on by a much more powerful deck. We're trying to play small ball over here. We're like trying to assemble these contraptions, doing cool things that interact with each other in cool ways, and then the opponent is just like growth spiral Uro. I don't miss this standard format at all. All right, they didn't float mana, that's good. Another young P. Okay, so I got a lot going on here. They'll probably counter this. All right, there's the Mystical Dispute. I will not pay for, because I can't, mostly. So I still have another crack at this. I can attack with these 2. That's pretty free. If they block, it turns on Fatal Push. If they don't, I can Village Rites a token and try to hit a land. Another counterspell coming. Another Censor. The old turn 7 sensor. It's alright, these young Peasies are at work right now. Though we are dead immediately to another expansion explosion. Let's see, 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 10. Yeah, so they can 14 us off the top with a expansion explosion. They bottomed with castle, that's good news. Unless they already have expansion explosion in hand, they probably wanted to castle in their upkeep, because you're going to untap all your lands anyway. So doing that, aggressively castling is one of the ways to pull ahead in this matchup once you're this set up with Rec and everything. I wonder if they have a Wrath, like a Anger the Gods or something. Ooh, that's a good blocker, unfortunately. And they're floating mana. So this could just be to castle, or it could be to explode me. Oh, I didn't even see them sneak a counter onto that. That was a good play. I'm probably going to concede this pretty soon, but let's see what Luris can do first. There is still gas in the tank, as they say. Why did they do that then? Okay, so I can summon Luris. See if this resolves. That's step 1. If they mystical dispute, I can pay, but then I can't do anything else. Still gonna pay, obviously. Oh, they had another one. Bummer. All right, I'm gonna concede. They certainly outmuscled me there in game 1. All right, so what is helpful here? Duress, of course. Oh god, my duresses are mismatched. I forgot to check my sideboard for matching arts. All right, we'll have to make it work with that. Kolaghan's Command's probably pretty good. Soul Guide Lantern, that's got to be what this is for. Exiling Uro. Land is tapped for 2 mana, it makes 1 instead. This deck doesn't really cast tons of spells in the same turn or tap lands for multiple mana, so Damping Sphere is probably not what I'm interested in. Artifact Creature, Planeswalker. Unfortunately not enchantment. Okay, so Wild Slash, probably not great here. Fatal Push is pretty good. It can always get a Shark, and it can frequently get Uro. Dreadbore, also medium. And see, Claim to we didn't do any of the cool combo-y stuff. Like, we didn't see an Arcanist, a Claim to Fame, or a Croxa that game. So I don't want to cut any of those, because that's like the power of the deck. It's where the juice comes from. I need 2 more cuts here. I guess I can cut the other Dreadbore and hope that they don't juke me with some scary Planeswalker. The Fatal Pushes, I think, like, the ways they win the game are Uro and Shark, and Fatal Push answers both of those. And, of course, Expansion Explosion, but I'm hoping to Duress and Thoughtseize them out of those. Is it just Reveler? It seems like the worst creature that's still on the deck. Okay, I'm gonna try it like this. This hand is a little awkward, but I am gonna keep it. I'm going to lead on the Fabled Passage because it's more likely that Foreboding Ruins will come into play untapped than Fabled Passage on turn 2. As in, Fabled Passage can't come into play untapped, and Foreboding Ruins could. So I am going to fetch black or red. My hand is mostly red, but I have this dual land. What double spells matter? Alright, untap land. Wrecked. Getting punished by the awkward mana here in Pioneer. Alright, so I think I want to Kroxa and then claim Kroxa. Aether Gust. I'll put Kroxa on top. So I can just try to make that play again next turn. Yeah, unfortunately, no Thoughtseize or Duress. Maybe I should have mulliganed for those. Discarded Uro. Thinking you're clever. Alright, so I'm just gonna exile Uro now, and then I can go off with Young Pyromancer and claim next turn. Like, I can't stop them from jamming Reclamation this game, but I can try to shred their hand and force them into top deck mode. Though, like we saw last game, if they end up with even one card left in their hand, that could be too many because that one card could be Expansion Explosion. They have a Reclamation right on time. So I got to watch out for that Blast Zone. That is a powerful combo. However, they do seem to be hurting on lands a little bit. So I could play Arcanist, which kind of forces a response. Like, Arcanist threatens the most combo stuff to happen. So even if my claim on Kroxa here gets censored, that's still a card out of their hand. Oh, Chemist's Insight. Alright. That's one way to respond to a Kroxa. Just have more cards to choose from when you discard. Niv Mizzet, my goodness. I'm gonna play this. I have no land to reveal. Chemist's Insight. I don't want them jump starting that, so let's just get rid of their graveyards. Like that exiled Uro and the back half of Chemist's Insight, it was good for several cards. An unknowably huge amount of cards. So I think it's done its job. It'll take them a little while to get back up to this Uro, so that's fine. Oh no, are they exploding my Arcanist? Okay, they're just castling, that's fine. Top, bottom. Alright, so how do I go off here? If I start with Young Pyromancer, and then I can claim Kroxa twice and Fame Young Pyromancer? Censor is a pretty big blowout, but also not the worst here. And they would have to discard every card in their hand that isn't Censor if they want to Censor later, because they only have 3 cards. Alright, so Fame on Young Pyromancer. Then we attack and we claim Kroxa again during combat. Wait, can I not do that? Oh, does this count as 3 in the graveyard? Is that why I can't do that? That's weird. I'm gonna have to check between rounds if that's a bug or if that's actually how that works. Because if that's how that works, I have misunderstood everything. And that's a bad thing to misunderstand. And we're about to get exploded. Alright, yeah. So this matchup definitely requires some disruption that I probably should have mulliganed to. Like I said, I'm here learning this deck for the first time alongside everyone else. So this will give them Uro, unfortunately. And I can't get back. I think I just want to put Luris in my hand. If I had drawn a land, no, that's not true. I didn't have enough cards in the graveyard. I was going to say if I had drawn a land, I would have been able to Kroxa plus Fame it, but I don't think that's true. Okay, yep, we're dead. Completely outmuscled by the best standard deck, A-band standard deck. All right, I'm going to look up that ruling and we'll be back for round 2. Okay, so confirming that Dreadhorde Arcanist targets the card in your graveyard, and when Claim to Fame is in your graveyard, it costs 3. If it was worded differently, like if it was like when this attacks, you may cast an instant or sorcery with less than instead of cast target, then it would work, but it doesn't. It has to target, and at the time that it has to target, the target costs 3. So no good there. I don't think it would have mattered that game because we were still getting exploded. All right, I'm going to set up with a Young Pyromancer and try to pop off something big next turn. Oh, they have the Yargle Fatal Push. The Rubbins. All right, so definitely just playing Stitcher Supplier here because that is all I can do. I guess I could have claimed Young Pyromancer, but I would prefer to set up something more combo-y. All right, cycled Censor. That's good news. We're not getting censored, or at least one less, though. Okay, so I think I want to have maximum mana available. At least to play around Censor, if nothing else. Let's claim this young Pyromancer. Wow, bummer. So I'm just gonna K command to get my young Pyromancer back. So I have to return target creature and make them discard. Oh, Cling to Dust is a very good card. Also very good against me specifically. Alright, cycled another Censor. So we danced around this one a little bit, though they still did get my claim countered, though they did not cantrip to do it, which is a start, I suppose. They can exile the claim to fame now. Oh, they would have gained 3 life, not cantripped. Alright, it was a creature. Yikes. Thoughtseize, taking Dreadbore probably, though Young Pyromancer is also a reasonable choice. Alright, so I can just fame a Stitcher Supplier. Okay, there's Kroxa, that's good. Yeah, so I'm gonna fame this Stitcher, attack Narset, and attack my opponent. And I'm gonna Village Rites now while the getting's good. They've already shown me 2 Narsets and counterspells, so I wanted to make sure the spell resolves, because your creature dies whether the spell resolves or not. Sacrificing it is part of the cost, so getting something like that countered is a huge beating. Thought Erasure. Alright, so Kroxa is likely to arrive this turn. They could have Aether Gust, which I'm not a huge fan of, but what are you going to do? I can at least lead on this Kroxa, start to beat their hand up a bit. Oh shit, I should have played around Censor. I guess it doesn't really matter, because I have so many cards in my graveyard, even if they do censor me, that Kroxa still gets a card, and I can just re-Kroxa next turn. Alright, 1. I want to leave creatures in the graveyard if possible, because I guess I only have 1K command in the main, and I've already cast it, so that doesn't really matter. Alright, that just came into play. I'm a little surprised by that. I'm glad they cycled those 2 censors. Discarding Kalitas. So the last card in their hand must be pretty good, if it's better than Kalitas. Okay, that's solid. Alright, so Kroxa is exiled, and then I just play the other one. We've managed to dance around this Cling to Dust for a long time. It's pretty lucky. Alright, Kroxa, get to work. I think I do have to spend some time interacting with this Ashiok. All right, Luris. Okay. I knew there was a reason I was leaving creatures in my graveyard. I can Luris them back someday. All right, so text or blocks, exile the top 2 cards. All right, so that's mostly flavor text. I can smash at Ashiok with everything and do my best to assure that it dies. I think I should do that. And hope that they didn't top deck Fatal Push. Oh no, that is... might as well be Fatal Push. Well, they top decked removal. That sucks really hard. Exile 5 cards, so they can... yeah, they can Cling to Dust my Croxa next turn. And they have Arcanist under control forever with the Cling. This has gone poorly. They turned the corner, and I felt like we were way ahead. They can only Cling once, which is a small relief. We need to get Young Pyromancer to work here. All right, Stitcher is probably a good start for that. Reveler, okay. So can I cannot get into the red zone in an effective way this turn. All right, so now I need to draw some spells. They can suicide their Ashiok to get rid of Luris permanently, but I don't think that's worth doing. I kind of hope they do that. And the good news is Cling to Dust gaining 3 life is a lot worse than Cling to Dust drawing a card, and all the scariest things in my graveyard are creatures. Though I do really want to cast this Village Rites next turn with Arcanist. Though because Arcanist targets, that might not be good enough. All right, cool. We're in business. Found a spell. And a pretty good one too. So I'll get to know exactly how this combat's going to go. Oh, double Fatal Push. Not bad, opponent. Not bad. So I think I want to hold on to the Rixmati Reveler here. Though Luris might not survive combat. Discard a card, then draw a card. So I get a card regardless. All right, so I'll just cash this in now. I get 1 card, I can't get 2. Discard a card, draw a card. Urborg, the Tomb. So if I attack, they just Cling to Dust my Village Rites. So I'm leaving Urborg in my hand as Ashiok protection. So Cling is exile 5. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. All right, so I'm going to do this. at least force the action. Let's get some cards out of their graveyard. So they can triple block this now and exile 6 cards from my deck. That's kind of fucked. Alright, yep. You got me. Alright, I did not consider the triple block, though I don't think that matters a whole lot. Alright, so I can just recast the Arcanist next turn, if I so desire. What did they exile? They didn't get the 3rd Croxa, they got 2 Young Pyromancers and a bunch of lands. And they're still holding Fatal Push that they didn't have to use. Wild Slash. That one's kind of interesting. Because it can trigger Young Pyromancer just at will, which is not a thing I'm very good at. Alright, I probably have to take it easy on Stitcher Supplier. Just because I'm running out of like cards in deck might actually matter. I think we've lost this one. I don't know how we're going to get through this 2-3 army. And they're pretty close. Like, if I attack, they get to exile 10 cards from my deck, and then they can turn around and attack for 10 more cards. So I'm pretty sure I'm just decked. So I need, like, Dreadbore immediately. I said Dreadbore, not Dreadhorde. Come on, deck. So I could Supplier. And I have to, like, play here. I'm losing on board, so as much as milling 3 isn't exciting, if we hit Croxa. Alright, we hit Croxa. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Like, Croxa was one of the few ways forward here. We know they're still holding Fatal Push, so even this is not ideal. But this is my reliable way to deal damage to them. Alright, so I could Fame Croxa. I would end up exiling 10 cards from my deck, and I would only kill 2 of these Nightmares. If I attack with everything, what happens? I probably just lose. So I can play my land at this point. This Arcanist is probably not coming into play. Oh, this is so messed up. So I attack, I go to 7 cards in my deck. One of their things dies. Maybe 2, and then they just turn around and kill me. Alright, I guess I will play this Arcanist. I'm gonna have to kill them all in 1 turn, basically. Like, because of this army, they could deck me so easily. Okay, I mean, Brazen Borrowing that is much better for me than if they had just Fatal Pushed it. This Ashiok, though, that turned the corner so quickly. Is there 1 card left in hand, and it was this one that has completely invalidated all this awesome stuff I'm doing. Okay, so I can Thoughtseize the Fatal Push, and then we'll see, or Thoughtseize to at least force the Fatal Push. I mean, obviously, it's not actually going to get it. Okay, Fatal Pushing Young Pyromancer. That happens. I take my damage. There are no cards in their hand. So then Kroxa will deal 3 to them. All right, now what happens? If I attack with all of these things, so I can put them to 8 with Wild Slash plus Dreadhorde Arcanist. So they go to 8 there. Kroxa, I can't get back Kroxa. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 blockers. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10 attackers. So if 4 things get through, they block 1, 2, 3. Okay, yeah, that doesn't matter. That's not the path to victory. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 of these, so they can't quite deck me this turn. That's a good start. Oh, I can cast Kroxa with Luris. That is a start. So Luris this back. That's 3 extra damage. Then I can put them to 5 with Wild Slash, but only 4 damage is getting through. So yeah. 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 8. All right, so I have to hold my horses for a turn, but this Kroxa strategy could work. Like, they can't quite deck me this turn. They also can't quite... They're not even close to killing me with damage. So they're 2 cards away in their graveyard from clinging this Kroxa. Oh, Jesus. Ashiok was at ultimate. I didn't even notice. I could have Wild Slash that. Cast 3 spells from among face-up cards your opponent owns in exile without paying their mana cost. So Kolaghan's Command's really good. You just cast Kroxa twice. Fatal Push, targeting Stitcher. Okay. So Fatal Push targeting my Stitchers, and now I'm decked. Alright, yeah, I just missed that Ashiok was on. We might have had a path to actually win that game. So if I take Ashiok down, then I get 1 more turn, and I get to Kroxa again, maybe twice. No, I get to Kroxa once. I don't know. It would have been close. I definitely just messed up right there on that last turn. Got buried by Ashiok that game. Alright, so Duress against the blue-black control deck, Kolaghan's Command. The rest of these things are whatever. The Wild Slash, not great. Thoughtseize, pretty great. Fatal Push, not great. Dreadbore, very important, as we've learned. Yeah, so I just want to reduce their hand to nothing, and then defeat them. So it's possible Rick's Mighty Reveler is the worst card left. Alright, and let's dodge Leyline of the Void. This hand is good. Again, no discard spells. Alright, we milled. We left 2 Fatal Pushes in the deck. We drew 1, mill 1, so those are done. accounted for. Play this, attack with Stitcher. And I can Village Rites if I need to. I doubt they're going to Fatal Push a Stitcher Supplier. Jace Vryn's Prodigy. Well, good thing we left in a Fatal Push. I'm actually just going to wait and get value off of that with my Young Pyromancer. Why did my stack get down here? All right. So that was a pretty good early exchange, but this is not an aggressive deck. So like as aggressive as this start looks, and it might snowball and win the game for us, but it also might easily not. All right, cool. So Young Pyromancer. They showed me Spell Pierce last game, so I think I want to slow my roll on this Village Rites. The dream obviously is just Village Rites, your token, it replaces itself, you draw 2 cards at your land drop. All right, so I'll do that now that they've tapped out. All right, didn't hit a land drop. Oh, this was also in the main phase, so even if we hit a land, we could have punished that real hard, but we didn't. Oh well. They bottomed with Opt. My Carnarium. So Village Rites is the only card in my graveyard. I still think I want to cast this Pyromancer. No, I want to cast Dreadhorde. Dreadhorde is the one I'm happier to Village Rites if they have the removal spell. Oh, the Sanitarium. Oh, that was a perfect draw. Because now, not only is it a good card against them, but it is a great card for Dreadhorde Arcanist to recast. This will force a removal spell if they have it. Then I'll Village Rites in response. And they can counter this. It'll still just be a 1-for-1 because Arcanist was on its way out anyway. All right, no counter spell. They can counter the Duress now. Dig through time. All right. Oh, they have the dog dig through time also. My opponent enjoys secret lair purchases. All right, let's see what you got. Graph Digger's Cage is I don't care about. Aether Gust, Extinction Event. Extinction Event is the scariest card in this hand. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. They could start making a 3/3 Shark, but Extinction Event is the scariest card by a lot. Like I have Cage covered. I have Kolaghan's Command going nuts right now. All right, so if I attack, they can make a 3/3 Shark. I can deal 2 to the Shark after blocks and get back Dreadhorde Arcanist. All right, so they make their block. Kolaghan's Command. Return target creature and deal 2. Do I want Arcanist or Young Pyromancer? So they have Grafdigger's Cage and Aether Gust. I think I want Arcanist because that will force them to cage. They'll have to respect the cage. And I would like to work through that while we're here. All right, so we know about Aether Gust. Shark Typhoon is gone. So I think I lead on the Kolaghan's command. I played my land so they can't Mystical Dispute this. Like, Aether Gust is fine. We'll just do it again next turn. Destroy target artifact. Return target creature. Destroy target artifact. And I'll get back Young Pyromancer and target Grafdigger's Cage. And they gust, and I put on top. Oh, Drown in the Loch. They got me. Bummer. All right. My lock has been drowned. And now I just want to get Luris. Obviously, it doesn't do what I want it to because of Cage, but it is another threat. So this Castle Embereth might come up eventually. So I don't want to run out everything, but I will play the Luris. Gotta hold something in the tank here. And Luris can't get gusted. It can get eliminated. Alright, claim to fame, another brick. Yeah, this is what I talked about in the deck tech, where this deck is very, very, very bad against Graveyard Hate. Alright, so they still have Aether Gust over there. They bottomed with Opt and shuffled immediately. Enter the God Eternals. Jesus. I don't think I can beat that card. Well, if I can, Crocs is probably going to be involved. This cage is ruining my life. Alright, there goes the Aether Gust. Alright, so there is one Kolaghan's command left in the deck. We just gotta find it. They have the lock now. So if they activate Gaia Reach Sanitarium with Narset in play, I can't draw a card, but I have to discard a card. That's why I held my land back. Alright, well, they don't seem in a hurry to use their sweet combo. Alright, I'm just gonna pass here. Alright, they have a backup Narset off the first Narset. Kolaghan's Command. Alright, now they're doing it. So I'll discard Village Rites. And I don't get a draw step. Alright, so I just have to hold these cards in my hand and hope that I find the Kolaghan's Command and that it resolves before I lose. And dig through time. Alright, I've seen enough. Alright, so we're back for round 3. Let's see if we can get a win. We are Luris and they are Yorion, so this is a good time. This hand does not produce mana in a meaningful way. I think it's fine though. I am going to keep it. I have 2 draw steps to find a mountain or swamp to make a turn 2 play with. Like the games with this deck go so long. I don't think that it's right to mulligan, like cost yourself a card for the chance that playing a turn 2 creature when like your creatures all take several turns to gain any value anyway. That worked out pretty well. Let's see if we get censored. Son of a bitch. Alright, could have been better. So far after 2 matches, I would much rather be on the side of the people who are controlling the games. Like we've played against control decks, and I would much rather be on that side than this side. I feel like I'm just outgunned. And obviously I haven't played perfectly. I don't have a ton of reps with the deck. I could have been mulliganing more aggressively. Alright, so we're gonna get wrecked here. They put Absorb back in their hand. Alright. Okay, so I can cast Young Pyromancer and get back Dreadhorde Arcanist right now. All under the Absorb. So that was pretty sweet. Worth noting, Tamiyo means they can't sacrifice permanents or discard cards, or I can't make them do it. So flashing back this Thoughtseize with Dreadhorde Arcanist is not really a play I want to make. They named Supreme Verdict, and they actually hit one in their 80 card deck. Are you kidding me? Come on. Give me a break. The old Tamiyo Yorion combo delivering. Alright, so at least I can kill Tamiyo here, I hope. Barring a Spell Pierce. Alright. We're getting rid of Tamiyo. Alright, so we know they have Absorb in hand. And that's all we know. Wishing for Yorion. And they had the land drop. So they're still holding up Absorb. So let's see if I can bait them here. I'm going to Village Rites, sacking my Elemental, which is free, because even if I get the counter back anyway, If they absorb here, then I can jam Rixmati Reveler and just reload my hand anyway. All right, I'm not, those are basically the same thing, but it got the absorb out of their hand. The sad thing is that I basically can't beat a 4/5 flyer. Like, regardless of what else is going on over there, it's going to be really hard to punch through that thing. I'm so jealous of my opponent right now. I'd rather have Yorion as my companion than Luris in general in Magic the Gathering. Stitcher Supplier. What does that do? It might hit Kroxa, is what it does. Oh, it hit Kroxa. Good news, everybody. So, land, Fatal Push, Supplier. Let's see, do I exile the other Kroxa? That's kind of a close call. It's Dreadhorde Arcanist, and I want to leave the Thoughtseize for Arcanist in the future. So I guess Young Pyromancer is the last option. Crocs is the way out of this. Let's hope that it's able to get there. If they have like Teferi Time Raveler and a land here, that could be brutal because they get to attack with Yorion, bounce Yorion, draw a card, cast Yorion, bounce Teferi, and Omen, draw another card, and they have untapped Yorion. So that's probably the engine they're hoping for. All right, Supreme Verdict. That's okay. So Crocs is coming right back. It looks like they have a counterspell lined up. That's fine. Oh, they didn't. Wow. And they had to wrath their own Yorion. That's pretty dope. All right, there. Just making a shark. Okay. And I'm going to get Arcanist set up. Arcanist is the better play here because I can play Young Pyromancer and get a spell off Arcanist immediately next turn. But like Arcanist takes longer to get rolling, so you always want to play that one first. And if they Supreme Verdict me again, I have one more Croxa I could play. All right. ECD with no targets. You love to see it. Okay, so I'm going to play Young Pyromancer. The Croxa plus Arcanist should empty their hand. Huh. All right, so Thoughtseize is a little bit of a goof here because if they discard there, I should have stacked it the other way. Yeah, if I stacked this differently, then Thoughtseize would have had a better chance to hit. I didn't think of that. So if their hand is land spell, they can just discard this spell to Croxa, and then Thoughtseize is going to miss when it hits a land. Okay. So now I just don't even have to cast the card. They're just hellbent. I'm just going to say no. So I could deal 1 damage to them by giving this trample, but I think putting Lurrus in my hand is better. Though they just discarded this Ugin, so ECD can get that back next turn. How do I beat this? I guess I have to put Lurrus in my hand. Just try to... Not even sure what I'm trying to do here. I have to like reload on the village rights. I don't have any graveyard hate in my deck. I can't remove an enchantment in my deck. Know that the top card is Kroxa. Probably just gonna have to burn them out with Kroxa. So I'm not casting the Thoughtseize, obviously. I am gonna cast the rights. So attack, attack, attack. I guess I could cast the Thoughtseize to get a token, but that doesn't matter. I have to pay the tax for ECD. All right, so I can't effectively activate Castle Embereth this turn because I do want to shoot in this Kroxa. Oh, I could have done it. I had the land drop. I'm playing so poorly. Yeah, so I missed 2 damage there. Yeah, I'm basically just going to have to machine gun them with Kroxa to win this game. And 2 extra damage probably is going to matter. They topped on their scry. That's horrifying. There goes all my permanents. All right, so that's the card they left on top. They topped again. Uro, oh no. If their top card is a green source, we are almost certainly just dead. And it is. Look at that. It's like they scried too. Yeah, so they have Uro and Ugin. I can Fatal Push this, but it's really not going to matter. Like their Uro is going to undo my Kroxa really effectively. I'll take another draw step, but this isn't looking good. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. I could bring back Kroxa the old-fashioned way. Like they can just plus. All right, yeah, I'm dead. Okay. I'm gonna wrap. Oh wait, was that game 1? I was so ready to just like stop. All right, I guess I'll keep playing. So this removes a planeswalker. These decks are all so much better than the one I'm playing, or at least the meta is prepared these days. I saw a lot of Twitter activity last week talking this deck up, but really all you need to do is like play some Grafdigger's Cages and you're fine. Soul Guide Lantern. We are playing against Uro and Elspeth Conquers Death, so we probably need those. Fatal Push doesn't have a lot of targets. They did show me Shark Typhoon. Scary stuff. It's really hard to sideboard with this deck because you just want everything. Like everything is in here for a good reason. Like I could shave on this, but then like my whole Croxa combo plan is worse. They're unlikely to have Rest in Peace in their deck with Uro and Elspeth Conquers Death. So that's something we can think about. I don't need to go like too crazy cutting on the graveyard stuff. They probably have Soul Guide Lantern. Like they can't really have Grafdigger's Cage either. Though Cage doesn't stop Planeswalkers from coming back into play from the graveyard. So they could have Cage. I doubt they have Leyline in their 80 card deck. So Soul Guide Lantern is what we need to plan against. So that's actually not bad now that we were able to eliminate some of those. Dreadbore is very important. This is so hard. Guess I'll cut another push and maybe one more K command. Nope, because they have Soul Guide Lantern. But Soul Guide Lantern, we can force an activation of it at least. Oh, it's tough. I think maybe it is just Reveler. Okay, let's go. Try to salvage this league. If I lose this match, the league is over. I'm just saying now. I'm not going to try to battle back from 0-3 with a deck I'm not particularly enjoying. Alright, this is the first super discardy hand we have. It has no threats. Like we're going to need to find something to follow up. Alright, so they have no blue mana. Azorius Charm. Alright, I'll take the Teferi to start. That's the most proactive play they have. Temple Garden. Come on, 2-drop. Alright, I'm not going to Thoughtseize now. There's no reason to do that. Their hand is super reactive. I want to wait until I have a play to make before I check their hand again. Like I'll just get Luris here. See if they found the blue source or the third land. They did not. They found none of the above. So this is still pretty awkward because I don't know, like, is Luris even good here? Oh shit, I fucked up. I should have. Alright, I'm just gonna play Luris. I should have fetched a swamp with Fabled Passage. That would have been a much better play. Okay, they found a land. Nothing in their hand matters here. So we know everything in their hand is a spell. That's important to note because they would have played any lands, so they've just have 6 spells in their hand, and we know that. Alright, so now we can start Thought Seizing. We can take the Azorius Charm here and continue our Lurrus beatdowns. Or I could let them Azorius Charm Lurrus because I don't really have anything else going on. I could take the Narset. Alright, so 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Supreme Verdict, Azorius Charm. So I want a Fabled Passage now, so they can't, so I don't have to shuffle away my Lurrus if they charm it. Thought Seizing Uro does very little. So I'm just gonna let this happen. Like, I don't care about Supreme Verdict because I can K-command Lurrus back. I just don't want it to get settled. Alright, so we saved a Thoughtseize for this Yorion. Alright, claim to fame. Just keeps getting better over here. Alright, so here's the Azorius Charm. Lurrus is on top of my deck now. Thoughtseize your Yorion. Settle Uro and Verdict. It's fine. And just keep moving it forward from here, I guess. This is not really where we want to be, because they have Uro looming, and we have nothing. Like, Lurrus isn't buying back anything. Uro's coming in next turn. I can make them sack it once, but don't even know if that's good. Alright, so we know about Settle and Supreme Verdict. Alright, so we still know basically everything. One, two, three, four, 1, 2, 3. Yeah, so if they Verdict here and then go for Uro. No, they're just going for Uro. Okay. Alright, so what are we working with now? Alright, Stitcher Supplier. Maybe we can make something happen here. Get some creatures in the graveyard, or something to go with this Lurrus. Nope, absolutely not. Let's see, do they have an Absorb? They do not have an Absorb. I could Fatal Push my Stitcher. I don't hate that, actually. Let's try to make something happen here. So now even if, okay, now we're cooking. Cast with Lurrus. Let's start getting this hand empty. Alright, and doing this all main phase means they had to respond, and now I can attack with Lurrus, because they can't settle me. They top bottomed with that. Alright, sneak an attack in through the Settle the Wreckage. So this is probably the verdict, yep. Wipe out Luris. Oh no! Okay, that's not one I can reasonably beat. I just did all that work to get where we were going. Alright. And that's the game. I'm not coming back from that. Okay, so this was a pretty rough outing with this deck. I think the deck is good. I'm sure that I didn't play it perfectly. However, everything everyone was doing against me felt better. And that's just in game one. And then in game two, we're just susceptible to all this wide range of hate cards like Grafdigger's Cage, Soul Guide Lantern, Ashiok Game Ender, like all Rest in Peace, Leyline. There's all of these things that we just can't even beat. So I think that the metagame seems to be at a place where it knows about this deck and it's ready to fight against the graveyard. So I don't recommend it right now. It might be good in the future, but there's plenty of viable control strategies that don't just fold to graveyard hate. So I don't really like where this deck is, and I will not be playing it again. But I'm glad I got that out of my system. I'm going to continue rooting for Luis Salvato at the Mythic Invitational today. Hopefully he can do better in Historic than I'm doing in Pioneer. But there's the deck, and see you never, deck. Make sure to like, comment, subscribe. Follow me on Twitter at Bosch and Roll. We can talk about this deck. You can tell me everything I did wrong and why the deck's actually great. And see you next time.